So you talked about genetics and taste perception, that kind of thing. Something I'd like to talk a little bit more about is this issue of permission and allowing. We tend to allow our kids a lot more leeway in terms of what they're going to eat. So,
well, I think you want to look at the divisions of responsibility here. So, it's as a parent, it's your role to determine what's on the menu, what you're serving your child, making sure that they're healthy options, determining what time meals are going to be served. But it's always up to your child to determine whether or not they're going to eat it at all, and if so, how much.
Right.
Right? So you don't want to be pushing them to eat, you know, a specific amount that you think they should have. You know, by trying to enforce that, you're teaching them to override their body's signals that are telling them when they're full or when they're hungry, by saying, no, you should have more, you should have more.
Right. Yeah, clean your plate.
Yeah.
Starving children elsewhere in the world.
Yeah.
Yes, we've all heard those messages. My mom used to set the timer on the stove, and if I hadn't finished my meal by the time the timer went off, I went to bed. On Hungarian goulash night, I often went to bed early.
But you mentioned taste perception, which is interesting because children do taste foods differently than adults, especially younger children. They have more taste buds than we do, and their palates are smaller, so those taste buds are more concentrated. And they're going to taste foods differently than we do. They're going to be more sensitive to different tastes and flavors. I think that our expectations of children need to be adjusted a little bit too. If you think of the types of things that you ate when you were a child, you probably didn't love kale when you were 3 years old,
when I was a kid.
Didn't even know what kale was.
No.
So, you know, we think that, oh, this is a really healthy food and our children should be eating kale, you know, and, you know, I think that it's great if they do. My 2-year-old loves kale for some reason, but my 5-year-old doesn't, and I think, you know, that's okay. Certainly offer it to them, expose them to these foods, but, you know, don't feel like you're doing something wrong if they're not taking to all of these foods that you may not have developed a taste for until much later in life.
Right, for sure. So just talking about taste, we only have a couple more minutes before the break, but is there a way that you can prepare a child for tastes? The thing I'm thinking of is breastfeeding.
Oh, of course. Well, you know, even from the 3rd trimester, you know, your baby's going to taste what you're eating through the amniotic fluid.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you're breastfeeding, then they taste all of the foods that you are eating as well. So the types of foods that you enjoy, your children will be more likely to also enjoy. They're used to having those flavors. So
so there's another reason to eat healthy in your last trimester.